My name is Jeev. I work at a company called Freenome. We are a very cross-functional team that's essentially building next-generation diagnostics for early cancer detection. Within Freenome, I work in the research platform team. This is a large part of the innovation engine at Freenome. And we operate, and we support the different components like the compute platform, data platform, and automation platforms. And our role is to essentially empower our users, and our users span multiple teams across Freenome, including molecular research, computational biology, machine learning, and so on and so forth. And we want to empower them to basically build better products faster. We're here today because Flyte is a very large part of our research platform. It's a very key component of it, and that's just one of the places in Freenome that we're using Flyte. We need a very flexible tool to support both our research use cases and our production use cases, and that's essentially one of the main things that we get from Flyte, and that allows us to basically go from research into production fairly quickly. Otherwise, you're ending up doing a lot of rewriting or modifying large pieces of your code base as you're transitioning or promoting it from research into production. So all of those reasons aside, I think that was one of the very important pieces for us to very important reasons why we went with Flyte. So we started, I think, around 2020 or so, after Flyte had been open source. We were very early in our adoption. Our engineers were very one of the first ones to start adopting or moving our production pipelines to Flyte, really. And so that happened fairly quickly. The research side moved a little bit slower. I think researchers are generally more resistant to change, because they don't want to focus on the UX and all that stuff. They just want to do their research in an environment that is most comfortable and familiar to them. So the way that we started there was to start onboarding specific teams and working very closely with them to really empower them to be successful on this platform. And then as we started seeing more success and people started getting excited about it, there's a lot of word of mouth going around within the research organization. And then other teams started picking that up, and then we started supporting those teams as well. It was a little bit slower, albeit a little bit more very mindful, intentional on the research side. On the engineering side, it was more of a no-brainer because of all the great features that Flyte provides us. So at Freenome, we have this mantra that we don't want to have a lot of tools in-house. We want to have a few things that work really well, that we really understand, that we can, we're very confident about operating, keeping up, debugging, fixing, and so on and so forth. And also, in the case of Flyte, we've built, I think, a pretty good relationship with the team, and we feel very confident supporting this tool in our production stuff. I think open source is a big important thing in biotech, specifically because we are trying to build this FDA regulated product, right? And so the more things that we have to build in-house, the more proof and evidence that we have to show the FDA that this is the right way to do things. I'd rather invest that effort in a really solid open source project like Flyte, and then grow that product, nurture that product for biotech, and for a future FDA regulated products, together with a much larger open source community. So having one really nice standard that a regulatory body can just look at and be oh yeah, there's other companies in the space that are using this and been successful using this, so it makes sense, right? It would be a much better selling point